What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Wednesday. Gonna have a good show. It's a good sunny Wednesday here in Nashville, Tennessee. Austin Stanley, Sam Phelan with you guys talking Titans, and the Titans roster is getting stronger at the perfect time. And Sam, October is usually when the Titans roster doesn't get stronger over the last couple of years when they've had the most injuries and the most players playing games in the NFL and setting NFL records for all the wrong reasons. But this seems to be a little different as Kyle Phillips designated to return to from injured reserve. Zach and I discussed that a little bit yesterday. Then Nicholas Petit-Frere was also granted an early release from his suspension sentence for gambling in the NFL facility, not on the NFL, but gambling at the Titans facility. And so he is back in the building this week and eligible to play this week. So Mike Vrabel's got some choices. We'll go through that. Who will have a bigger impact for the Titans this season moving forward? Will it be Kyle Phillips or NPF? We'll discuss that. Vrabel's choices around the musical chairs of offensive linemen that the Titans could have on their hands. And maybe, if we've got time, we'll talk a little Mason Kinsey and Kyle Phillips to see what that looks like. But we're going to have a good show. And it is Wednesday, which means our sports trivia segment is back. And Sam, you and I are going to try a little bit different flavor as we try to find the right way to do trivia that makes everybody have fun and saves us time.
I'm looking forward to this one. I think this is the answer today.
You think this is the winner? You think this is the winner? So we will see how it goes. But let's get in here and get this show rolling.
Hey, let's do it here on a great Wednesday. Before we start things off, make sure everybody watching shares the show. So if you're watching on Facebook, make sure you hit the share button on the bottom right side of the Facebook screen and hit share. If you're watching on YouTube, take the YouTube link and post it to Facebook, send it in a group chat, text it to a friend. Find somebody who loves the Titans, loves the NFL, or might just love us, and make sure they join the A to Z Sports family. Share the show before we go. That's the best way to support before we kick things off here on a Wednesday morning.
Let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, as always, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, our Titans reporter at A2ZSports.com. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Link to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also, hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where you should go for all of your new car buying needs, or see them in Lebanon. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. You can check them out at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app, keeping us safe online, and you can get a 2-week free trial with Aura services by using our link only at aura.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations in the Middle Tennessee area: Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. They are online at KrebsKubota.com. So Sam, a new theme for trivia later on. I did see Orlando say, "Oh man, no more grid." I guess we had the same thought, that we both were going that direction with Orlando off the top here, but no, it'll be a grid, just a little bit different grid.
Yeah,
right?
it's a different grid.
I will let you tease the new trivia here before we dive into this Titans.
That was my tease. It is all encompassing. We're hitting a very diverse set of questions, diverse difficulties all over the place, and it is a grid format. So, yeah, there's your little tease for later in the show.
Right. It's just not all NFL like it has been with the Immaculate Grid. So we're going to get a little bit. And, Roy says grids aren't trivia. Well, this grid is trivia.
This grid is trivia. Yes.
So Nick says we're going off the grid. No, we're staying on the grid. But doing more of a trivia.
You guys don't you'll have to hang out and see.
Yes.
That's, that's what it is at the end of the day. That's a great tease because I think you're all curious now, and now you got to come play trivia with us at the end of the show.
That's right. All right, because we still need everybody's help. We're still on the same team. That's the good part about trivia and how we're doing this. All right, so let's dive into this because the Titans are getting stronger as a roster as the season goes on at the perfect time. Because why is it the perfect time? The first divisional game of the season is coming up on Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts on the road. Titans have yet to win a road game in 2 tries at New Orleans, at Cleveland. Now they go at Indianapolis, where they've had success a lot recently, in a game where they've got to win on the road. The Colts also have not won at home, so something's got to give unless there's a tie up on Sunday to kick off the Titans' October schedule. I guess that technically started against the Bengals, but to kick off the divisional schedule before heading to London for the Ravens the week after that. And Sam, me and Zach had talked some yesterday about the recent transactions and the news of Kyle Phillips. Kyle Phillips was designated to return from injured reserve. This was on Monday. Titans waived Mason Kinsey and offensive lineman Xavier Newman because now Nicholas Petit-Frere was also reinstated 2 weeks early from his NFL 6-game suspension for gambling at a team facility, but not on the NFL. So NPF and the Detroit Lions receiver Jamison Williams get to come back a couple weeks early, which I think is a big deal because typically once you get a quarter or a month into the year, injuries start to stack up. And we've seen that happen to the Titans over the last couple.
Yeah, I mean, kind of unprecedented too. I mean, this doesn't really happen very often as far as like the National Football League and Roger Goodell having a punishment in place and then just sort of impromptu out of nowhere going, you know what? Never mind. We're going to, lessen this punishment. That's our bad. You guys can come back and play sooner. That doesn't really happen. So very surprised when that news came out last week. But a big
time out. Let me ask, when's the last time the NFL has been like, our bad?
Yeah, I mean, that statement in general, right? Like
yes.
So very surprised by that, but a big boost to this Titans team. I saw one comment said, I don't know if stronger is a reach or saying that stronger for this roster was a reach. I don't think so at all. I mean, I think Nicholas Petit-Frere provides some very good depth and a potential like starting option on the offensive line. Kyle Phillips can have both a special teams and offensive impact. And as you mentioned, Austin, this is a big game against the Indianapolis Colts. With the entire AFC South sitting at 2-2, it's kind of wide open for who wants to snatch the momentum and take command of this division early on. And as you and I talked about all offseason and previewing the schedule, like the easier games are at the back half of the schedule. And we said, the Titans could be 2-4 after the first 6 going into the bye week, and you're probably still not dead. But if you can beat Indianapolis, you're still guaranteed a 500 start to that first 6 games, something Titans fans everywhere, I think, would have signed up for. So this is a huge one to try and take command of this division. And it's nice to have some reinforcements back.
Yeah, and Jack and I on the Amanda J. Gentry post-game show on Sunday was talking about how if you can beat the Colts, whatever happens in London is a complete bonus.
I mean, you're playing with house money at that point in London, and that's kind of a freaky game. Most games I'd be sitting there being like, yeah, can the Titans beat the Ravens? I don't know. I think that Ravens team is really, really good. London's kind of weird. Like, I feel like anything can happen in London at 9:30 a.m. And yeah, house money.
8:30 a.m. Central.
Crazy.
And then it's because I was talking to Buck yesterday because I did see somebody ask early chat, is A to Z going to be in London and have coverage from London? Yes, Buck is traveling to London. Sam, we're going to meet next week and talk about those London plans because you're involved a little bit. So just a heads up on that. We'll talk about that next week. But no, so talking to Buck yesterday, got our London plans together. So yes, Buck will be in London helping out coverage for both A to Z Sports and 104.5 The Zone. So excited about that and what that can be. So I agree. I think this is absolutely the Titans roster getting stronger. And another thing that we haven't even included is somebody also asked this, is Peter Skoronski coming back? And I know Buck on primetime last night, had a similar conversation what we're going to have and involved Skoronski and what his situation is recovering from his appendectomy. Sam, as the resident appendectomy specialist here with A to Z Sports, since with your experience, we're sitting at 3 weeks? Sunday will be 3 weeks since the surgery. I still think that's
Saturday,
a little early.
Yeah. Saturday, 3 weeks. And I don't want to, I don't want to toot my own horn, pat myself on the back here. But, when I first heard about the injury, I said, look at Indianapolis as a toss-up And that seems to be where they're at with Peter Skoronski right now. He's going to be on the practice field this week when I head over to St. Thomas Sports Park later today. So that's a big step in the right direction and a positive for him. Whether or not he's ready to play, I think will kind of be decided based on how he looks and feels during practice. And Mike Vrabel and the coaching staff will have to make a decision. But yeah, the timeline that I originally had on Skoronski kind of coming to fruition here with Indy as a toss-up, but for sure expect to have him back for that Ravens game in London.
Did Skoronski practice at all last week?
No. So, I mean, last week he was cleared in the weight room, cleared to return to football activities. And he was doing some stuff in the weight room to try and get some strength back, but was taking it easy, not wanting to pop a stitch, not wanting to have a setback that would, cause him to miss some extra time. And he was not out on the practice field. So this is progress this week.
All right, so let's get to our first video we want to play here, Sam, because you talked to Zach and I guess it was Tuesday morning, about something that Mike Vrabel said about Nicholas Petit-Frere that surprised you a little bit. We're going to get to Mike Vrabel's comment about the Titans offensive tackle who is now back reinstated with the team. But first, let me tell you guys about Aura. Speaking of staying safe and not gambling at the NFL facility, you can use Aura to protect yourself online whenever it comes to a lot of different things. Because Aura identified 30 data brokers that were selling my information to spammers and robocallers and telemarketers. Aura opted me out of those data brokers on my behalf, and I got rid of those from my life in just about 5 or 6 days. And it takes 2 or 3 minutes to sign up with Aura. Sam, I know you did the same thing with Aura services. And along the way, I've learned that the password manager and protector is great. You can get a notification when somebody tries to check your credit score for whatever reason. Credit identity theft monitoring is a big deal too. Maybe you've got kids on the home Wi-Fi using devices and you want to set up parental controls for those youngins to make sure they stay safe on the internet, which is tough to do. Or it can help you do that in a 2-week free trial, 2 free weeks to at least get the spam calls out of your phone, right? Aura.com/ATOZ is where to go sign up for a 2-week free trial. That's Aura.com/ATOZ. Our sponsor, Aura, keeping us all safe. Aura.com/ATOZ.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code when you sign up, ATOZ Sports, on the BetMGM app and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Maybe it's an NFL pick this weekend, or hey, I've been teasing it for a while. MLB Wildcard Series is alive and well, going on right now. Games all day today, 4 games in the Wildcard Series, so you can get in on the action. And, if you're at work, working from home, whatever it is, and you're just trying to have some sports on in the background, throw on the MLB Wildcard Series and place a bet with BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports for up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win.
All right, so Sam, we're here to discuss Nicholas Petit-Frere. He was lost to a 6-game suspension in the summer for gambling at the Titans facility. The 6 games turns into 4 games. The NFL said, our bad. That's probably a little stiff for a suspension for not gambling on the NFL, but just doing it on team grounds. Jamison Williams of the Lions also reinstated. Mike Vrabel, addressing the Titans media on Monday after the win over the Cincinnati Bengals, had a comment about NPF being back in the building. And here's what the head coach had to say.
Philosophy on an incumbent coming back when his replacement's done well.
Yeah, I think that's Nick's been away for a little bit. He was with us in training camp. We'll see where things go. Like the way that Chris is playing over there. We'll just see how he looks this week. Yeah, we haven't seen him, for a while since training camp. So the league made a decision on what they felt like they wanted to do, and so we'll hopefully get an exemption for him and practice him and see where he's at as we work closer to the game.
Is it fair to him that they change rules on the fly?
The league does what they want to do.
How's Peter been?
League does what they want to do. Sam, You said that on Tuesday morning that surprised you. So what were you surprised by with those 46 seconds from Mike Vrabel?
Well, so I mean, one of those questions I asked Mike Vrabel, and I was just it was that second cutaway. The question's not in there, but I asked him, I'm like, hey, well, not every day the NFL just kind of walks back a suspension and gives you a player back 2 weeks early. I have to assume that's a pretty pleasant surprise for you guys. And I thought we'd get a Mike Vrabel answer that was like, yeah, it's going to be great to have Nick back in the building. Really excited to, get him back on the practice field. And I know he's been working, even though he's been, one of those answers that we get throughout training camp and anytime an injured player seems to be coming back.
Yeah, everybody's got a plan. And, Nick had a plan when he left. And we're excited to get Nick Petit back. Yeah.
A little bit more excitement out of the head coach. Yeah. And I was kind of surprised that his response was just like, we'll see. I like how Chris Hubbard's played. And it kind of got me thinking a little bit like, and you have been a big contender of this, Austin, over the offseason and stuff, that like Nicholas Petit-Frere last year was fine, I guess, as a rookie, but maybe not necessarily like your penciled in right tackle, like as of the future. Like you still have to kind of wait and see with him.
Yeah.
And so I think Chris Hubbard and the way that he's played well, partnered with Vrabel's response to the question and clearly singling out the fact that he has liked what Chris Hubbard has done. And we've heard him talking about Chris Hubbard in the past as calling him an outstanding addition and just being very complimentary of who he is in the locker room and in practices and in meetings. And so I'm intrigued by this situation as NPF comes back and what the Titans are going to do at right tackle. I don't think this is quite as black and white as, okay, incumbent's back, now he's your starter. I think NPF's going to have to earn this. And so I was a little surprised by the answer.
Especially, with the answer of, well, I haven't seen Nick in a while. Nicholas Petit-Frere went to Ohio State. Mike Vrabel is big Buckeye guy, right? Obviously, with his ties there and being a player, All-American, and also a coach at Ohio State. And I think, there's a weird thing about it is that I don't know if this is him trying to be hard on NPF, trying to, send a message to NPF that, dude, you pissed us off. Like we were going to count on you and you did something stupid that is very much a common sense thing, man. And you hurt this football team because of your stupid mistake that you made and lack of judgment in the facility. And we had to go do, damage control because of your bad judgment, right? From what I saw from NPF in preseason, I think this mentally affected NPF in a bad way. I feel like he was kind of down on himself a little bit, like the body language wasn't strong. Because let's remember last year, NPF came in as a third-round rookie and won the starting right tackle job over Dylan Radins. Dylan Radins lost the job to a year, third-round rookie in NPF. And I didn't think NPF had a stellar season. He was available, unlike the majority of the roster. And so that's kind of what was his best ability last season. And, he wasn't that great in the preseason. He did feel like he took it in a hard way mentally, and he's got to bounce back from that.
Yes. I mean, that's what makes this really interesting to me is how quickly do you go to NPF? How short is the leash if you do go to NPF, knowing that Chris Hubbard has been pretty solid out there for you. Chris Hubbard hasn't been amazing, but I think he's gotten the job done and filled in admirably. And then additionally, what is the Bengals' performance due to this decision? Because the Titans' offensive line was largely improved against the Bengals. And we heard from Aaron Brewer earlier in the week about, everybody won their one-on-one matchups, and we were able to pass protect enough and run block enough. And Derrick Henry very pleased and gave a lot of credit to this offensive line for their run blocking. And it's almost like, do you want to rock the boat now that they have positive momentum going?
Well, positive momentum, but I also feel like I wouldn't say the Titans O-line versus the Bengals was good, They just were better than they were the week
True.
before.
No, right. They were good enough, I guess, right? Like they were.
It was a passing grade performance, but not exactly like Zach was telling a story about his Latin teacher in 8th grade not allowing him to round up a decimal point to pass Latin, so he had to go to summer school. Like the Titans were like it was like pass fail line. They passed, but with like a D. But a D is a pass, not a fail. And so, I think maybe in our post-game show, we can add on and grade the offensive line as we're grading Ryan Tannehill. Shout out Chimney for all your chimney needs for the post-game show. But Sam, let's go ahead and remember too, Kyle Phillips coming back. These two guys were day one starters as rookies last season. Now they've both missed the first 4 games of the year. Let's go ahead and ask this question because Zach and I talked about, is Kyle Phillips a facade yesterday? But who will have a bigger impact on the Titans this season? NPF or Kyle Phillips? NPF started the whole year. Kyle Phillips started a couple games, had production, great game against the Giants, then got hurt and was done for the year. And then he got hurt in training camp and he's back now. Who will have a bigger impact for the Titans this season in a positive way between NPF and Kyle Phillips? We'll get to your comments, but Sam, first tell everybody about the Bone and Joint Institute.
The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. They're located out in Franklin with a state-of-the-art rehab facility to assist in your recovery. You can schedule an appointment with them at boneandjointtn.org. You don't want to fumble on your recovery, and you never do when you go with the Bone and Joint Institute. Like I said, state-of-the-art rehab facility with everything under one roof for maximum convenience. That's the clinic, rehab, image, surgery, testing, all in the same spot out there in Franklin, so you don't drive all over Middle Tennessee to get to different appointments. Just go get good, reliable care from the best in the business at the Bone and Joint Institute and schedule an appointment at boneandjointtn.org.
Hey, with BetMGM, you guys know that you can win big with your first bet offer using our bonus code ATOZ Sports, where you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. But Sam, BetMGM is here and they've got new features. Rolling out new features for this pro football season with drive results wagering. You can choose between live betting options for every drive. The outcome, yards, longest play, is it field goal, touchdown, punt? This is going to get interesting for live betting. Plus, they also have with drive results, same game parlay plus. This bet type allows you to combine multiple same game parlays in a single bet slip. So if you're looking at 2 games, maybe it's Titans Colts plus another game on the schedule, and you want to combine same game parlays, you can do that now with same game parlay plus. So BetMGM continuing to evolve to get better. Drive results in live betting and same game parlay plus with BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. That's why they're the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. First rewards issued as in non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And problem game of support. Call Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789. So Sam, I'll send you to the chat. We're asking the question here. Who will have a bigger impact on the Titans this season? Is it NPF coming back as tackle on the offensive line, or Kyle Phillips back in the wide receiver room? What's the chat saying?
Steven's going with NPF. Zoe is going with NPF. We've got NPF from Rooney. We have Phillips from Stephen King, Phillips from Jaron, NPF from Billy, NPF from Titans Kyle, Phillips from Matt. We have, Kyle Phillips from Tank Sinatra. Ryan doesn't even know if Phillips is going to see the field. Joseph.
And, let's say it real quick. We're not talking about week 5 against the Colts. We're talking about this entire season.
Yeah. Season. Yeah. Right. He might not see the field this week, but you're going to get Kyle Phillips back at some point. Whether it's week 5 or week 6, I think he's back before the bye. And so,
I think the fact, and this is the interesting part about that, because who was it? Ryan that said, I don't think Kyle Phillips is going to see the field. I think that, like, Ryan, let's look into the moves here. The Titans did not have to designate Kyle Phillips.
Kyle Phillips is going to play against the Colts.
Yeah. How about that? Suck it, Ryan.
I mean, he's going to play against the Colts. You don't waive Mason Kinsey and activate his practice window when you don't have another punt returner on the roster if he's not going to play.
Yes.
So
Let's just look at this, right? Because once you designate the player to return from IR, you have 21 days to activate them. Why would they do it so soon? Because they have the 2 road games, basically, with going to Indianapolis and then London, then a bye week. The bye week is 21 days. So they feel like Kyle Phillips is ready to roll right now. And that was the soonest they could do it. And so, yes, Kyle Phillips is going to play football.
Well, and this is Mike Vrabel on Friday, too. When he was previewing the Bengals game, said, yeah, Kyle Phillips, we'll have him back next week. Like, we expect to have him back next week. So, like, he progressed pretty well off IR. He hasn't been wearing the brace or anything for a couple weeks now. He's going to play football. So, yeah, there you go.
Now, how long will he play football? How long can he stay healthy?
That's the question.
That's a fair question. But Ryan saying, oh, he's not going to see the field is just, not staying on top of your football team here.
Yeah. Hammer says NPF because there's not enough evidence for Phillips. Hello Lady says Phillips. DeMario says Phillips. Kevin says, I say NPF, at least he plays. Phillips is out too often. Phillips, if he lasts, from Roy. Troy says NPF because Phillips can't stay on the field. We got Randy says Phillips does better if healthy. Anthony says NPF because Phillips is injury prone. I mean, we're going back and forth here. Steven says Phillips. Andre says NPF. He can come in case of injury or bad play. NPF because Phillips is likely in his last year. He hasn't built to play in the NFL. That's crazy from Jonathan. That's just wild. MB says NPF because Phillips will get injured again sooner rather than later. So he doesn't have a lot of faith there. We're kind of all over the place. We've got some good NPF answers. A lot of people, I think, majority with NPF. Some people like Kyle Phillips, but obviously, Austin, a lot of concern from the chat over Kyle Phillips's ability to stay healthy.
Yeah. And Kenny says they did just cut Mason Kinsey. There were no transactions yesterday afternoon, were there, Sam?
No. So let me see on the Twitterverse if there's something that I missed here, or if
because we were kind of expecting.
I mean, I guess they already have cut Kinsey. He was waived.
They cut him Monday, right? Yeah, right. They cut him Monday, but we were expecting Kinsey to be back on the practice squad, pretty quickly here.
Yeah, I am surprised that hasn't happened yet, and would be surprised if it didn't happen at all moving forward. Maybe it's after this week. Who knows what their plan is there, but yeah, I'd be surprised if Mason Kinsey wasn't back in some capacity. So.
We'll talk about Mason Kinsey a little bit later, because we do have something that me and Zach kind of punted to today from yesterday.
Yeah.
Jaron brings up the Titans do have Shi Smith on the practice squad now too, but
right.
Shi Smith,
some special teams and punt return experience there as well. So
true,
we'll see.
So my answer to this question, and the question once again, if you're just jumping in here, who will have a bigger impact on the Titans this season, Nicholas Petit-Frere or Kyle Phillips? I think it's Kyle Phillips, Sam. I think Kyle Phillips has a more defined role in this offense when he steps back on the field and the practice field today than Nicholas Petit-Frere does. And NPF, I'm just going off of what I saw from NPF in training camp in preseason games. The Titans had to figure out who was going to be their right tackle for the first 6 games, because that's what they had. They had to plan the first 6 games. And it was NPF was getting third team reps because of that, because they wanted to give Jamarco Jones, before he threw a fit and got cut and started hurting players and teammates and kicking recycling bins. He was getting first team reps. Then they bring in Chris Hubbard. Then he's getting first team reps, and somebody else. You got to prepare somebody else behind Chris Hubbard to just in case something bad goes down and you need another backup before NPF comes back. So he's getting third team reps at right tackle. And I didn't like what he was doing with those third team reps. I mean, there were false starts. There was getting beat by third team edge rushers, guys that made the team like Caleb Murphy and guys that didn't make the team. And so I think Kyle Phillips has a defined role from return to the field day 1 today. And NPF, it's not a bad thing to have him back. Like, the guy has 17 games under his belt in the NFL. It's not a negative, but I just don't know what the Titans are going to do right now. And so my answer is Kyle Phillips.
So yeah, this is an interesting point. And I talked to Easton Freeze about it yesterday, actually, over on his podcast, discussing the whole Kyle Phillips situation. And we were kind of talking about how, from a fan's perspective, I understand the skepticism about Kyle Phillips because fans do not have the benefit of what you and I have during training camp and things like that, Austin, where we see the impact of a guy like Kyle Phillips each and every day. Like we have a much larger sample size. To a Titans fan that, maybe doesn't track every single training camp practice or isn't able to be out there for every practice. They saw Kyle Phillips in one game, and since then, he's been non-existent to them. And it's kind of hard, and I don't blame anybody who has doubts about Kyle Phillips for that very reason. You just have not seen it. But from what I've seen, I have a lot of faith in him. And I don't believe, I know, right, it's easy to point to back-to-back seasons with injuries and say, oh, well, he can't stay healthy. I think these are two kind of very different injuries. And he had the shoulder last year and the hamstring, and a lot of emphasis this year on gaining weight, developing his play strength, making sure he's more durable. And then you kind of get hit in the knee during a punt return or a kick return, whatever it was. Which ends up, causing an MCL issue for you and taking you out. That's not weight related, size related, durability related. It's kind of luck related. And Kyle Phillips was on the wrong end of some bad luck during the preseason. But I agree with you. I think he is the more impactful player now that he returns. And I say that I think there's levels to this. Kyle Phillips is not somebody who's going to come in here and have 6 catches for 60 yards, 5 catches for 50 yards every single game, and be a huge piece of this passing game where he has the numbers. But I think Kyle Phillips is somebody whose short area quickness, ability to convert a third down, or even just catch a quick pass on first down and get the Titans into a 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3 is what they're missing from this offense right now. NWI has been very good on intermediate routes and timing routes. DeAndre Hopkins, the same thing. And D-Hop has some, that they have been using him a little bit on those quick passes. You then have Chris Moore and Treylon Burks, who have been used more as deep threats. And the one thing I think they're missing is that Kyle Phillips guy who can run 2 routes, shake his defender, take 2 steps, shake his defender, catch a pass, fall forward for 6, and keep you on pace. And so I think his impact is going to be huge for this offense. I don't have reason to believe that he's so injury prone he's not going to be able to stay healthy. And I'm worried that Nicholas Petit-Frere isn't even in the cards for the Titans on the offensive line. I don't know what they're going to do yet. So you're correct. There's a more defined role for Kyle Phillips, and I trust his impact more than I do NPF's. Yeah. There was a good point pointed out by Zoe in the chat, just saying he doesn't think the Titans use slot receivers well. You remember Adam Humphries. My counterpoint to that, Zoe, would just be, do you remember Kyle Phillips against the Giants? Yeah. And again, that was over a calendar year ago. So I understand if you're a Titans fan that has some hesitancy about, hanging your hat on a game over a year ago. But we've seen that they know how to use him, and we've seen that Ryan Tannehill trusts him. Those things are going to be very big for them moving forward.
And I'll also say, do you remember Adam Humphries? I mean, Adam Humphries was being used.
I think he was kind of impactful.
Adam Humphries was averaging, and this is going to sound funny, but we have to remember this is the Tennessee Titans, and this was the 2019 Tennessee Titans. Adam Humphries was averaging over 3 catches per game, and that's for the Titans on an offense that also had A.J. Brown and Corey Davis that were your 2 leading volume guys. Adam Humphries was 3rd on that team in 2019 in targets, and he only played in 12 games. He had more targets. He had more targets than Jonnu Smith in 2019, more targets than Tajay Sharp. He had more targets than Delaney Walker did in 2019. So again, Adam Humphries also had the problem of not being able to stay healthy because he was getting just basically demolished over the middle with illegal plays. So Kyle Phillips, I really want this guy to stay healthy. I do want to get to something too, because Jonathan had a fun fact. Caleb Farley has played more than Kyle Phillips. I mean, while that might be factually accurate, there's a lot of
Farley's been
different.
in the league more, so
Farley's had one extra year. Kyle Phillips has had 1 year where he appeared in 4 games, and in those 4 games, Kyle Phillips showed that he had more ability to play at this level at his position than Caleb Farley showed the ability to play at his position. Caleb Farley was never really good when he was out there playing, and I do think Kyle Phillips is interesting. So I'm gonna do a switcheroo here, Sam. I'm gonna jump up and I want to talk about the punt return aspect of this first before we get to our other offensive line topic. Did you have anything else you were going to add real fast?
Well, yeah. So like, I like that you mentioned, right, 3 catches per game for Adam Humphries or whatever it was. Like, if Kyle Phillips comes out and has 3 catches for 25 yards in every single game, I think fans can look at that and say, oh, where is he? There's no big impact there. But I think you need to look at what his catches are going to come on. Like, I think 3 catches for 25 yards for Kyle Phillips could be 3 third down conversions, could be 3 catches in the red zone that set up the running game and the play action pass.
One of them scores a touchdown.
Right. Like, I think his catches and his looks are going to be very valuable looks. And so, like, we're talking about who's more impactful. How much better than Chris Hubbard is Nicholas Petit-Frere? I don't know if he is at all. And if he is, it might be a little bit marginal there. And so his depth is valuable, but improvement maybe slightly. Kyle Phillips gives the Titans something on offense that does not exist in their offense right now. And so as far as impact on the team, I think that, boosts them substantially.
All right, no doubt. All right, so I want to get to this conversation about Mason Kinsey and Kyle Phillips. Who would you rather have return punts, Phillips or Kinsey? Because we're going to hear from Mike Vrabel on this here in a second. But first, I'm going to tell everybody about our friends at Krebs Kubota. Whenever you're looking for equipment to help out around your home, around your property, whatever that might be, Krebs Kubota has you covered. They've got everything, and they've got the best of everything, because Krebs Kubota is an elite Kubota dealer, meaning they have a direct line to the best equipment in the industry with the Kubota brand, and also the best warranties in the industry with Kubota as well, because Kubota helps you get it done, and Kubota will make sure that if something goes wrong, if you have something that breaks, the warranties are important, and the warranties with Kubota are unmatched. That's important. What else is important? Relationships. Having a relationship with your equipment provider is essential, because things do break. You do need help. You're probably not an expert. You might be really good and really smart when it comes to equipment and power units and implementations, but you're not an expert like Krebs is, and they will create a relationship with you to get you what you need in a cost-effective way, and not just have a bunch of unnecessary things that you're going to compile at your home with equipment that you're not going to use, right? Or you can rent it, right? Maybe you just need something once a year. You can rent that equipment with Krebs Kubota as well. An elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations, family owned and operated for 18 plus years in Middle Tennessee. Find them at Murfreesboro, Franklin, or Columbia. Online, KrebsKubota.com.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code when you sign up, ATOZ Sports, and you can get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. That means you place that first wager, and even if it loses, up to $1,500 are going back into your account in the form of a bonus bet with a second chance to win big. So whether it's NFL Sunday, college football Saturday, or the Major League Baseball playoffs earlier this week, make sure you're doing your sports betting with BetMGM. That's the king of sportsbooks at BetMGM.com.
All right, so we asked here, who would you rather have returning punts, Kyle Phillips or Mason Kinsey? Vrabel was asked about Mason Kinsey on Monday returning punts the last couple of weeks. And then we had a Kyle Phillips follow-up on the tail end of it.
What's Kinsey done in terms of punt returns, averaging 12.5 yards? It's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's not only Mace, but that's a testament to those guys on that unit. You got to take care of the gunners. Had a really nice play there, a big return. Had the good return. Had the penalty. Really gave us some great field position there at the second quarter. So, probably would want him to fair catch the one, being smart there. Chris Moore made a play as a gunner, knocked the football out there. So yeah, Mace has done a nice job.
Maybe sticking with him when Kyle comes back?
We'll see. We'll see where Kyle's at. You know, we got 48 guys going to the game. You know how many guys we can take.
Yeah, I mean, it was just hours later that the Titans waived Mason Kinsey and, brought back Kyle Phillips. So the we'll see was clearly, we'll see. I mean, you'll see, I guess, what we're doing here in a couple hours. So,
Yeah. So, Sam, I'll let you go to the chat. Who would you rather have returning punts for the Titans, Kinsey or Phillips? I'm curious to see where this lands.
Andre's on Kinsey, Kenny Hill's on Kinsey, Eric is on Phillips, Scary Harry is on Kinsey. We have Kinsey by a mile from Ken, Kinsey from Jay, Kinsey from Zoe, Kinsey from Steven, Kinsey from Rashid. We have Kinsey does. That a serious question, says Eric Alonso. Mason Kinsey from Jermel. Punt return, Phillips. Wow, you guys hate Phillips, says Edward. I don't know what that means. I guess
maybe he's just reading the Facebook comments, because a lot of comments early on came in with Kinsey returning punts here.
Kinsey definitely seems infinitely tougher. Kinsey from Demetrius. Kinsey, no drops. He did well so far. We got Kinsey from Luman, Kinsey from James. We have Roy going off the script and saying Kearis Jackson, who's on IR, Roy.
Yeah, I was going to say, somebody asked an update on Kearis Jackson. Kearis Jackson went on injured reserve September 22nd before the Browns game, which means he's now missed 2 games. At minimum, he has to miss the Colts and the Ravens game before he would be eligible to come back at minimum, right? So you're not going to see Kearis Jackson at the earliest. It would be after the bye week versus the Falcons on October 29th.
Yeah, he had an ankle was the injury for Kearis.
Heard Jackson. It in practice too.
Yeah. Kinsey Jackson, when he's back, keep Phillips on offense, says top tier. Kyle Phillips says DeMario. Hammer's on Kinsey. Scott's on Kinsey for better ball security. And it's Mason Kinsey across the board from the chat here, Austin. Kind of rolling all of these comments. So the people, how the turntables for Mason Kinsey, the guy that people, were like, what's this guy doing in training camp still? Now is the people's punt returner. So
I'm going to keep the tables turning, man. I'm Mason Kinsey too. I think Kyle Phillips is probably the better punt returner, but Kyle Phillips has gotten hurt twice in his young career returning punts. And I think Kyle Phillips is way better as a receiving option than Mason Kinsey is. And that's fairly clear and obvious based on what Phillips showed us when he was healthy against the New York Football Giants in September 2022. I think that's where I am leaning, is that I think Kyle Phillips, because of his injury history, has already gotten to the level of don't put him somewhere where he might and have a better chance of getting hurt, because then he can't help you in more snaps on offense where he can be a difference maker. Because I think with a healthy receiving core, meaning Burks is healthy, D-Hop is healthy, Phillips, NWI, Chris Moore. That's 5 guys. I'll ride with those 5. I think that's pretty talented. They've got diverse skill sets. They've got strong guys, quick guys, long guys, deep guys, short guys, tall guys, right? They've got it all with those 5. That's a good basketball lineup, if you're going to go with that correlation. I let Kinsey return punts, at least for the time being, because now you're sitting here. You can still call up Kinsey from the practice squad a couple times, 3 times.
You got to get him on the practice squad first.
True. Which, look, Tuesday was an off day. I don't know what, but maybe you bring him back and you can elevate him a few times to return punts, see what happens when Kearis Jackson gets healthy, and then honestly let Phillips kind of figure out what this role is and stay healthy first.
Yeah. I agree. So I think Kyle Phillips is the better punt returner. Mason Kinsey is the better punt catcher. And so I do think there is some concern there. And I don't blame the chat for being concerned that Kyle Phillips has shown us his explosive return abilities. He's also had some issues with securing punts in the past. And Mason Kinsey thus far had been very solid at both catching punts and just getting nice, solid gains on returns. And I think the injury thing is a huge point. Like Kyle Phillips, we just talked about it, how impactful he can be for the Titans on offense. It's not worth losing his impact again for a punt return when you have at least one other guy, and two when Kearis Jackson comes back, maybe even three with Shi Smith, that are also capable of returning punts. Like, it's not a risk worth taking. I like Kinsey to be the punt returner over Phillips. And I like Kearis Jackson to do it too when he's back. We'll see where they go. Austin, what's interesting to me is Kearis Jackson made the 53 because Kyle Phillips was out.
Right.
And so you had Burks, Hopkins, Moore, NWI, Jackson, Dowell. Now, you ended up with Mason Kinsey getting signed to the 53 when Kearis Jackson went down. With Kyle Phillips potentially back, do you even bring Kearis Jackson back once Kyle Phillips is like what do you do with Kearis Jackson now? What do you do? Like that room, I don't know if they're going to allot a spot on the active roster for a punt returner. I think that might have only been something they did because Phillips was out in the first place.
No, I think they have, again, Vrabel's choices. They've got options right now, right? Because Jackson's out for a minimum 2 more games.
Yeah.
That's 3 weeks, including the bye. Now you have the ability to call up Mason Kinsey on a game day practice squad elevation maximum of 3 times. And you have Kyle Phillips to have the ability to get involved with the offense and see what that role looks like. So now you've got 3-ish games that you can work with to find out, do you need Kearis Jackson? You also don't have to bring back Kearis Jackson in 4 weeks. You can bring him back whenever. Yeah. You also have a limited amount of number, I believe it's 8, that you can return from IR for the entire season. So that Kyle Phillips, he's number 1. As of right now, I don't necessarily think there's another person that would be on this list outside of Kearis Jackson. Like, who else is on injured reserve that could come back and really play a fact? I don't think there's really that many guys at this point. But now you can stash, Mike Brown. You can stash Kearis Jackson for a few more weeks and figure out how the rest of the IR situation develops and use Kinsey's 3 elevations to, allow that to be, versatile.
That seems like it'd be the answer, right? Mason Kinsey back to the practice squad sometime this week, elevated for Indy, elevated for Baltimore. Then you have the bye week. You've let Kinsey get acclimated to the offense. Kinsey does your punt returns. Kearis Jackson's healthy. You can reassess going into week 8. And you're smart about it and be smarter about it there. But, we'll see what they do. I think that is the smarter option for them than just sticking a guy who's had injury concerns back there, maybe in the most dangerous spot in the entire sport, punt return. So
yeah, you're so vulnerable just staring up,
Yeah. I every time I watch somebody return a punt, even like from the field pregame and then like during the game, I'm just like, dude, it's gotta be one of the most nerve-wracking jobs in the NFL. I feel like if you're playing if you're playing in a game, offense or defense, you're adrenaline, you're just kind of like going, right? Like there's not a ton of like thinking involved as much as it is reacting and doing it. And you're in the moment. The two, to me, catching a punt at an opposing stadium and kicking a field goal at an opposing stadium, like a big one, where you're just on an island, standing out there in the middle, everybody booing you, everybody making noise. And your thought process is, don't mess this up. Don't mess this up. Don't mess this up. At least that's what I would be thinking.
No, like, so you'd be nervous doing that, but you still think you can make 50% of your penalty kicks in the same situation on the road? I mean, come on, Sam.
Well, I'm not doing it in a crowd. I'm not doing it.
Okay. All right.
And also, but we're not having the penalty kick.
No, I'm joking.
Again, I'm not expected to make them, and so I'm playing with house money, and that makes I wouldn't be nervous at all. But when you're an NFL player returning a punt or kicking a field goal, it's like, I'm supposed to make this. Don't mess this up. Like I don't know. I just think about it all the time. I'm like, knowing that you've got freak athletes sprinting after you at full speed, trying to kill you, and all these fans like screaming like, drop it. Like it's a tough job.
Tank has a really good comment. The punt return position requires no mistakes. And when they do, it's a game changer. It's too important. I mean, that's it. Yeah. Zero mistakes.
The thing, it's so, again, it's another part of this like Kyle Phillips thing where the fan perception of Kyle Phillips is wide receiver that played one good game, has never been on the field, drops a bunch of punts. That's the perception of him. I have seen how good he can be as a punt returner and how impactful he can be as a wide receiver. That gives me some hope, but he has dropped too many punts, both in practice and in games, for it to be like an absolute slam dunk move to put him back there. And with the injury concern, yeah, you cannot have mistakes. And so go with the guy that hasn't made them.
That's right. All right, Sam, we're going to put the offensive line question in our back pocket and maybe save it for Thursday or Friday this week as we start to look at the Colts. But overall, I think a good conversation. Titans roster getting stronger as they approach the first AFC South game of the season on the road. Titans 0-2 in road games so far. Colts 0-2 at home so far. So right there, it's pretty interesting. Chef has a question about BetMGM. Yeah, they've been asking people to verify some social security numbers and information. I've noticed that if you type in your birthday, if it's 1 through 9, then you have to 0. It sometimes doesn't work. But Chef, if you want to DM me on Twitter, I can help you out with that later on too for the BetMGM stuff because I'll help you out. All right, so Sam, let's go ahead and get to our new and improved sports trivia here in a second. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans, that's where you should turn for any of your health coverage. They can help you out, save you money, get you better coverage, all of that at the same time. Whatever your situation is, Farm Bureau Health Plans can make it happen for you. FBHP.com/ATOZ is where to go with Farm Bureau Health Plans. They've been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years. So check them out whenever your situation is. Don't sweat it. Farm Bureau Health Plans, they can help save you some money. Time for sports trivia. Another shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. See our friend Payne Bone and his team in Lebanon at Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Sam, you ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Hey, look at that beautiful transition we made right there to our fresh graphic setup with our new trivia setup here. So
Hey.
we're not ditching the grid. We're not going off the grid, but we've changed it up. The Immaculate Grid was all NFL. This one, we're going to switch it up, and we've got 9 questions, 9 topics to see how we can do with this. So Sam, I'll let you kind of set the stage on this too.
Well, this is a free response trivia grid, as you see. So we've got 9 categories that we will have to put in a free response in. And yeah, we're going to try and see if we can go perfect with everybody's knowledge. And we're going to rely on the chat here. I don't want to, pick which ones we go to. So let's just start with the chat. We're going to have to go to every category eventually. Where are we starting? Whatever we get the most comments about is where we will start. And then we will just go one question at a time. Austin, while they do that, I want to ask you real quick. If you or I know it, what should we wait for the chat? Should we just jump in and do the answer? I mean, we do have quite a few questions to get to. So
I think if one of us knows it pretty quickly, we can, say what we think and what we feel confident in. But obviously
we want to say, hey, I know the answer. And
I know this one, or we can wait for the chat to verify. Make sure
I want to give people an opportunity to
absolutely
answer. All right. So I see a lot of movies. So we are going to start here at movies.
Okay.
Question 1. Let's see. One of the many scary movie ripoffs of the 2000s, this 2008 movie parodied the epic war action film 300 and grossed over $800 million worldwide despite a 2% Rotten Tomato critic score. A scary movie ripoff of the 2000s. 2008 movie parodied 300.
I never saw it, but I can kind of visualize it.
I do not know this one, and I feel like I should know this one, but I do not. And let me scroll. I can
And
scroll up
Billy,
to
yes, thank
see the
you.
question.
No Google cheaters. Thank you,
Absolutely
Billy.
no Google. I'm going to be pissed.
Meet the
And
Spartans is what Mr. Jones says.
Meet the Spartans. And
Yeah,
that
Titans
seems-
Kyle, meet the Spartans. Eric says meet the Spartans. So I think we need to go meet the
All right,
Spartans.
let's do it. We're
on
going to
this
go
one.
quick here. Meet the Spartans. That is correct. Okay, which
Okay.
one's next, chat? Let's go. Let's fire
I
in.
saw
with
I saw music was a pretty popular guess for
Okay.
so we can go music.
Put another topic in there so that we can do it after music, but we're going to go straight to music with our
Okay.
next one. Three brothers formed this pop rock band originating out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and are known for their 1997 hit song "Mbop."
Hanson.
Hanson.
Did you know that, Sam?
Did not.
You did not know that.
Did not know Hanson.
You did not know Hanson. That is
Correct. Did not.
wild.
All right. Well, chat was all over it. So we're going to put that in and go. Here's the one that I'm going to be good at. I'll pick the next category.
Okay.
This is a weird poll for me. I'm really good at celebrity mashup. So the way this works is it's going to be a picture of two different celebrities in one. There's going to be an outer image and a face in the middle. And you have to identify both people based on the image. So here is our image.
Oh my gosh.
So this is Betty White on the outside.
In Liam Neeson, right?
No, that's not Liam Neeson.
Who is that in the inside then?
I'm trying to take a look at it. That's Betty White, and I don't know if I know that face on this guy. Does anybody know the inside?
Everybody's all over
yeah.
Betty White.
Oh, we have Brody, Anderon Brody.
Is it Robert De Niro? It's not Robert De Niro.
It's not De Niro. That does not match De Niro's. Adrian
We're
Brody.
getting a lot of
Adrian Brody.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and put in Adrian Brody and Betty White as our answer. And we are correct. Kat. Good job. That's a fun one. Normally I get both of them. I'm not sure I'm that familiar with Adrian Brody. All right. I'll just pick. Let's go to NFL.
Yeah, let's do it.
Playing from 05 to 2022, this kicker is top 10 all-time in career field goals and helped both the 06 Bears and 19 Niners make the Super Bowl. That's an easy one, right? That's
Robbie Gould.
That's going to be Robbie Gould. Cash for Gold. Cereal next up. Renamed in the 1800s to downplay its high sugar content, Diggum Frog is the longtime mascot for what sweetened puff wheat breakfast cereal made by Kellogg's.
Do you know this one?
Sweetened puff wheat would be I can see them.
I know, I can too. Sugar Smack, but it's
Sugar Smacks
renamed in the 1980s to down. Is it Sugar Smacks?
That's
or
what
is it just Smacks.
Smacks. Honey Smacks or Sugar Smacks is what happens.
It's definitely Sugar Smacks. Well, now we're saying Honey Smacks. Because if they downplayed it, you want to downplay the sugar to Honey Smacks. So Honey Smacks.
Well, here's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna answer this one yet because, chat, I didn't explain this yet. We have something called a double dip. So if we get one question wrong or however many wrong, at the end, we can put in a second answer for that question. So we'll save it for the end.
I still think it's Sugar Smacks.
Let's go with Sugar Smacks. And if it's wrong, we can double dip Honey Smacks at the end.
Okay.
It's wrong.
Oh, dang it.
Okay. So at the end, we can double dip Honey Smacks. Hopefully we get the rest of them right so we can then double dip and have all correct answers.
All right.
Cars. The Phantom, Spectre, Ghost, and Cullinan are all various models produced by what luxury automobile brand?
Rolls Royce.
I'm not a car guy, so I have zero clue.
You listen to rap music.
No.
There you go. Rolls Royce. That's the answer.
We got Aston Martin. Rolls Royce. How did you know Rolls Royce on this? Which one have you heard of?
Just go Phantom. Like Rolls Royce Phantom is just all about some 2000 rap.
Phantom. Yeah. All right, we're right on that. Let's go to television. Along with a nomination for Best Writing in 2017, Donald Glover won the Emmy for Best Actor and Director in a comedy for this FX series he created.
Donald Glover.
Atlanta. I think it's Atlanta. That's what chat's saying too.
Yeah, FX is one. Yeah, I mean everybody's saying Atlanta.
Yeah, that's I was kind of between that and I didn't remember if it was Atlanta or like Empire. But
Atlanta,
Atlanta
everybody's
seems to
saying
be
Atlanta.
all right. Let's
Okay.
do that. All right, college football. Justin Blackmon, 2-time consensus All-American wide receiver, 5th place in 2010 Heisman voting for a Big 12 school. This is Oklahoma State.
Easy. Yeah.
I love Justin Blackmon. I thought he was going to be. He could have been so good, man.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. NBA. Before becoming an All-Star in Dallas, Steve Nash played the first 2 seasons of his career with what Pacific Division team from 96 to 98? So the
I think
Pacific.
it's Golden State.
Steve Nash with Golden
I
State.
think it's Golden State.
I don't remember him with Golden State at all.
Or was it the Suns? Hold on.
No, he was with the Suns later. The
No,
Suns
he
were the
was with the
2000s.
Suns.
He won an MVP with the Suns.
But he was with the Suns first. It was the Suns, then Dallas, then the Suns.
He went back?
Yeah. Suns, Dallas,
Well,
Suns.
Suns are in the Pacific, but yeah, okay.
I don't know anything about NBA divisions. Like
the Pacific is, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Lakers, Clippers, Suns.
Wait, we're getting a lot of people saying it's not. It's got to be the Suns.
The Nuggets are not in the Pacific. Yeah, he didn't. I also don't think he played for Denver.
Dallas, Suns, Dallas. Wait, what? People are saying no, Austin. Yeah, it's the Suns, right?
The Pacific Division. So you got 5 options here: Clippers, Warriors, Lakers, Suns, and Kings.
Yeah, it's the Suns.
Okay, then I think it's the Suns of those, because the other division, Portland, is in there with Denver, Utah, Minnesota. Okay.
It's the Suns. Go Suns.
All right,
yes.
We're going to go with the Suns. All right, now we're going to double dip cereal, and we want to do
Honey Smacks.
Honey Smacks. Correct, chat?
Yep.
Let's
Honey
double check.
Smacks.
I'm just going to wait on everybody to let me know. We're going with Honey Smacks.
Yes.
Nobody's commenting, so we're just going to roll with it.
Well, everybody's all caught up in the Suns and
yeah,
Steve
they're
Nash.
freaking out about
Honey Smacks.
Okay,
We're yes.
here we
We're
go.
yes on Honey Smacks.
Boom, we did it. 9 correct with the double dip. That was so Eric says this one was not fun. I want to hear some feedback. I thought that was a pretty good round of trivia here. I thought that was nice.
It was fast. We went quick with it. It took us, all in all, it still took us 9 minutes to do that. Now, some of that was Sam explaining.
I don't think that was bad though. I think that was like pretty
yeah. So here we go. Okay, we've got some. Yeah. So Toph.
all right, we enjoyed it. I think it's a good one. We got some
Borg
good
says
variety.
enjoyed it. Demetrius
moves.
enjoyed it. Nate, good. Steven says better than before. MB says fine. Billy says okay. So we've got 2 We've
Hey,
got
we're
Denny's
we're workshopping it, but this one, and I'll say too, some of the questions aren't always this easy. Sometimes they are like, I've played this, grid for a while now, and sometimes you pull up and you're like, whoa, I don't even know what that is. And then sometimes you just know them off the top of your head.
Look,
so
Jay says we wouldn't have had to double dip if Austin wasn't hard-headed. No doubt.
The chat.
No.
Well, hey,
No.
the chat was very much on to sugar snap or sugar snaps or whatever, smacks, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth doing it again. We're not going to go back to the old trivia because it takes too much. It's too much weight lift on me and Sam.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming up with the right level of challenging on questions, because I have a tendency to make stuff too hard. When I'm trying to be extra creative, and as Montrell pointed out, like variety, right? This is like some good variety where you always get 3 sports at the top. You always have celebrity mashup. You always have TV, movies, and music. The 3 sports change. Sometimes there's there's always one NFL. And then sometimes you have different stuff there. So, I mean, good variety though, and random categories that you're just like, oh, I didn't expect a cereal question to actually be kind of fun. But,
See, Zoe says Austin pissed me off with a Nuggets answer. I didn't. That was Sam with the Nuggets answer.
No.
I was reading somebody else's comments.
I was reading a comment as well saying Nuggets. I said he did not play for the Nuggets.
Right. Yeah. I didn't say.
No,
I was reading.
You said he played for the Warriors, which.
Yeah, I said Warriors at first because I thought at some point Steve Nash and the Warriors was a thing, but I'm probably confusing another NBA superstar from that era. But yeah. So hey. Demetrius says, have a Halloween edition of trivia. We can probably do that.
We can do that. I'm sure we
On
can do some.
Is it weird that I know that the Wednesday before Halloween is October 25th? Is
No.
it weird that I know that off the top of my head?
Paying attention to spooky season, I think that's all right.
Okay, cool. I just making sure that I'm not like some weird savant, when it comes to like dates and day of the weeks.
I mean, why do you know that is the question? Just because Halloween's on a Monday or whatever?
I know. Well, it's like I know what days Saturdays and Sundays are, what date they are, so I can easily place the weekdays because I know Tennessee plays Kentucky on the 28th and the Titans play the Falcons on the 29th. So I can easily place things together.
Yeah, makes sense.
Football season the calendar is all right here, baby.
I don't even pay attention to dates unless I have like something to do on a date. And I'm just like, oh, I know that I have to go to something on the 15th. And then I know it's like, it's been a week since I went to that event. So
from now until the end of November, ask me what day of the week a certain date is. From now
November
through the end of November.
November 11th.
November 11th is a Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good.
That was easy because that's a game day.
I don't know. I don't know that's a game day. But now that's kind of easy because you can just go off of sevens off of Saturday.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I know it all. That's why I knew that.
If I told you,
October
25th,
the
20th, you go, oh, that's a Monday.
The 20th is a
November 20th.
Friday.
November 20th is a Monday.
Oh, November 20th. Oh, you said October.
Yeah. So there you go. Chat says November 26th. That's a Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah. See, all right. I'm with the game now. I just don't have those game days memorized in my brain.
Well, I have to plan stuff around things, So that's where I was like, all right, I am not available on these days.
I usually don't know what day of the week it is. Like
Andre says, Austin's pulling his Rain Man. I am in football season. I am Rain Man. That is how that works. Anyway, hey, we're gonna have a great week. Continuing, we're gonna start turning the page towards the Indianapolis Colts tomorrow. I'm sure of it. Buck Rising will be live tonight with A to Z Sports Primetime. And then we'll be back on a Thursday. Me and Jack will start talking about Titans and Colts. Sam, you'll be out there on the practice field for the Titans later on today. Make sure you like the show before you head out of here. Like the show before you go. That always helps us out on Facebook and on YouTube. So do that for us, and we'll see you guys soon. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Thanks.